Okay, welcome to another Website Wednesday. And today we are talking about images and image resizing. So let's have a look at how you can be optimizing your images before you actually upload them to your website and why that is even important. Because if your website ever feels like it's slow to load, or you've checked the page speed on something like Google Page Insights, or if you feel like your gorgeous images are starting to look a bit fuzzy or stretched or blurred, or maybe they just take a long time to appear, the page takes a long time to load, then this is going to really help you, because I'm going to talk about how you can optimize your images before you upload them, so your site loads faster, so it looks sharper, so it can really perform better for both visitors and for the search engines. And you don't need to be a tech expert or buy expensive software for any of this to work for you. I'm going to show you a few simple free tools that you can use that are going to make a difference for you. And some of them you can get started with in just a few minutes. So let's just talk about why image optimization is actually really important. And it's because one of the biggest culprits are lots of images when we are looking at slow page speeds. And when you upload giant photos straight from your phone or from your camera, often they're really big, they're several megabytes in size, and they're much bigger than they need to be for the web, which means slower load times, it means poor SEO performance, and it can mean frustrated visitors who are waiting for your site to load. So when you optimize your images, it means that you get a faster, smoother website. And it also means that your website just feels more professional. So let me just dive in. I'm going to share an image that I've just uploaded from my phone. And this was one that I took of the donkeys at the park where my son works. You can see that it's uploaded it as an HEIC file. It's not even a JPEG, so I would need to convert it to a JPEG anyway. This is an Apple format, which sometimes when you pull images across or import images from your phone, they come across as this. I haven't even checked what page speed this is, what file size this is, but I'm open this in Apple Preview, so I'm on a Mac. And when I go to Tools, we can see Adjust Size. And when I go in here, we'll see what size it is. So it's 2.8 megabytes, which is just so much bigger than you need it to be. You can see the width is 4,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels. And we just don't need to be working with images that kind of size on our website. So before I jump into resizing images, I want to just clear up a little bit of confusion that sometimes comes into play when we're talking about the difference between resizing and compressing images. So resizing basically means that we are changing the dimensions of the image. So that's how wide it is in pixels and how tall it is in pixels. So for example, with this donkey image, it was pretty much 4,000 pixels wide. And if we were to resize it, we are going to shrink it to maybe 1,200 pixels to put it onto a blog post, for example. Whereas with compression, what we're actually doing is we're reducing the file size. So we're removing unnecessary data from the actual image file so that it loads faster. The dimensions would stay the same, but the file actually becomes lighter in size. So if you think of it like this, so resizing is making the picture physically smaller, compressing is squashing the file so that it takes up less space on the server. And so for best results, you want to resize it first and then compress. So let's talk about resizing your images to the right size, and I'll show you how I would do this with donkey image in just a moment, because before you even start with compression, you're going to resize your images before you upload it. So if your website displays an image at, let's say, 1,200 pixels wide, there's no need for you to upload a 4,000 pixel wide image. That's like hanging a billboard up in your sitting room when you just really want a nice A4 size picture. So a really quick guide, just as a rule of thumb, it won't apply to everybody, but just to give you a kind of benchmark for the sizes of images that you might want. Full width hero images, we would usually put at about 2,000 pixels wide. For content or image blogs, depending on, so some of your image blogs, the header image, like the featured image, might also be full width. in which case you want it to be 2000 pixels wide. But if you've got a sidebar, then your image might only need to take up 1200 pixels, for example. And then small graphics or thumbnails are usually going to be 500 pixels or less. So you can resize your images in Canva. Most of you use Canva. You would just download it at a custom size. You could use Mac Preview, which is what I've just shown you on here, or Windows. If you're using Windows, you could use the Photos app. There are other online tools as well, like Pixlr, there's Photo, there's lots where you can upload them and then resize them and then just download them. So let's have a look at what resizing this image would do. So if I adjust the size, I just want you to keep an eye on this size here. It now says it's 3 megabytes. If I take this down to 2000 because I want to use it as a hero image, for example, if I take it down here, you can see it's recalculating the size. It takes it down to 1.3 megabytes. If I was using it in a blog post, I might only need it to be 1200 pixels. You can see the height automatically dynamically changes because I've got the aspect ratio lock on here. And now you can see the difference that makes. We're now at less than 500 kilobytes. So it was 3 megabytes to start with. So that is 6 times more than what we are at the moment. So really reducing this is massively reducing the weight that this image will add to our page. And we can reduce it even more if we decide that we want to crop it, because if you've got a hero image, you might want it to be more of a kind of letterbox style. So if I was using this as a hero image, I would perhaps go ahead and crop it. And because I've taken out some detail from the image, it's probably even less. So now it's just over 400 kilobytes. So you can see how changing the dimensions of the image really impacts the actual size of the file. And that's before you've even compressed it. So it's really, really useful to know how to do that. I would also, you definitely want to rename this. So I would have this, you would call this perhaps donkeys in a field, so that it's descriptive. For example. So you could add that. It's kept that file type. So in order to do that, I would export it. I'm not sure that you're actually seeing the export options. They might not pop up for you, but I would export it as a JPEG so that then I have donkeysinAfield.jpg. And that's what it downloads to, and then that's what I would upload into my media file. So, so you can see that resizing it can instantly reduce it in size, and then you want to compress it. So that's your step 2. So once your image is the right size, you want to make the file smaller without losing any of the quality. So you can try free tools, something like TinyPNG.com, that works for PNG and JPEG files. And if you're wanting to use WebP files, which is a bit more of a newer file type, specifically for web, you could use compressor.io. And you literally just drag and drop your images and let the tool work its magic, and then download the smaller versions. And often you'll reduce the file size by up to about 60 to 80% with almost no visible difference. It's basically taking data out of the image, and you can hardly tell. So for example, like a 1 megabyte image can often shrink down to about 200 kilobytes. And that means it will load 5 times faster. So if you're using WordPress as well, then TinyPNG has got a free plugin that you could use. It's called Compress JPEG and PNG Images. And it automatically compresses your images as you upload them. And you can even bulk optimize older images in your media library. I think it's up to 500 that you can do for free. There's also something called Short Pixel, which I've used in the past. It's also really good. Some of the settings you want to check when you are using something like a compression tool. So from TinyPNG, for example, you would want the API key. So you get a free key, and that enables you to have those free images every month. You also want to make sure that you're resizing on upload. So you could set a maximum width. So you would never really use an image or need an image more than 2000 pixels wide. So if I had accidentally uploaded the donkey image at its full size, then a compression plugin would restrict it so that it's only uploaded at 2000 pixels wide if I had set the maximum width. You can also turn off the metadata. So some compression tools will ask you if you want to retain the metadata. So that's really like the information on the camera, like what camera it was taken on, possibly your location, what the shutter speed was, those kind of things. You can remove the metadata, and then that's going to save you space as well, because it's all information that's connected and attached to the file. And you want to keep on the setting where it's asking to convert CMYK to RGB, because the colors with RGB display correctly on screens. CMYK is more of a printing acronym that we use. RGB is more specific. It's the color spectrum that we use on screens. So even with a plugin, I would still encourage you to be resizing your images before you upload, because there's no point in starting off with giant images if you're never going to display them at that full size. So remember as well to use the correct format of images. So a JPEG is usually used for photographs. A PNG is best for graphics or logos, often because you can retain the transparency. So it's specifically good for icons and logos. And WebP is that newer format that I mentioned. It has small file sizes and high quality, and WordPress does support it now. So it used to be tricky to use. You needed a plugin in order to be able to upload it, but it's far more widely used now. So the next thing you want to do, like I did with the donkeys, is give your file a useful, sensible name. So before you upload it, rename your file name. So instead of something like image123.jpg, then you could have donkeys-in-a-field.jpg, just like I did here. If you're a yoga teacher, you might have yoga-class-in-Suffolk.jpg. That's going to help you with your SEO and accessibility. Even if it's only marginally, it's still worth doing. Keep it short, descriptive, and use hyphens to separate the words. Don't use spaces. So if you think about it, something like bluebell-woods-suffolk.jpg is much better than image1.jpg. And then once you've uploaded it to your media library, you also want to add alt text. So once your optimized image is in your media library, always add in that text, which is the short description. It really explains what someone is seeing in the actual image. It helps people when they're using screen readers, and it tells search engines what the file is really about. So it might be that you've got smiling yoga instructor teaching a morning class outdoors, for example, could be your alt text, which is much better than image of yoga. Or even worse, if the alt text is just pulled in from the file title and you haven't changed the name, the file name, it might just be image123. So you want to make sure that you're checking the alt text as well, rather than just leaving it blank or letting it default to whatever the file name is. Keep it natural and concise. So describe what it is that you're seeing in the image, because that's going to help people who are using screen readers too. Okay, so that's quite a lot. Let me just quickly wrap up and recap what I mentioned. So you want to resize the right dimensions. You want to compress your images. You want to use the correct format for your images, like JPEG, PNG, WebP. Rename your images before you upload them, and then add the alt text. And those 5 simple steps can make a really big difference to your website in terms of it loading faster, looking cleaner, and keeping visitors and Google happy when they arrive on your site. If you'd like me to create a free image optimization checklist, then let me know. Just type images into the comments below, and if enough of you want it, then I will go ahead and create something. And just as a few bonus tips, I just want to rattle through a couple of other things. So your homepage images are the ones where I tend to see people using too many big images. So that page has a really big impact on your page speed. So make sure that you're trying to keep the images on your homepage light. and avoid those image sliders. So everybody loves those image sliders. Everybody wants to know how to add them to your website. But if you don't really need them, then avoid them, because they can very quickly add page bloat, because often they're those full width sliders. So you've got really big images there. And if you've got 4 or 5 of them, then you're massively adding to the weight of the page. So if you're using WordPress, then you could use a plugin like Smush. I used to really recommend Smush. I don't love it as much anymore. Short Pixel or the TinyPNG plugin, they can compress your images automatically on upload. And like I mentioned before, with TinyPNG, you can actually retrospectively bulk optimize your existing images in your media library. So it's quite a good option for you. And then remember to just keep your media library clean. So over time, WordPress generates lots of different image sizes. So for thumbnails, and they'll do like a medium size and a large size, you might never use those. So if you want to keep things tidy, you can delete those unused image sizes, and you can go into your media settings and see what that's set to and remove any unwanted versions in there. And then also regularly delete images which aren't being used on your pages. So you might have uploaded an image and then decided that you didn't want to use it, and uploaded another one but forgotten to delete that original one. So those kind of small habits can really save storage space and keep your site running beautifully, but also avoid you having to upgrade your server capacity, which is going to cost you money. So that's it about images. If you are building your website yourself, and if you want to get everything set up the right way, right from the outset, not just your images, but your pages, your layout, your strategy, your user journey, then that's what I teach in Rock That Website, my 8-week guided website creation program, where I walk you through step-by-step creating a client-winning website. And if you would like more information, please do reach out to me, or there's more information on my website. I will drop a link to it in the comments below. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week for another Website Wednesday.